Good afternoon, and welcome to the Glendale Housing Authority meeting of February 4th, 2025, being called to order at 3:03 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Authority member Arginian. Asadorian.
Here.
Brotman.
Here.
Garpetian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Chair Kasakian.
Here, may we have your report, please?
The agenda for the February 4th, 2025 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on January 30th, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Great, and what is next?
Approval of minutes. 4A, minutes of the regular Housing Authority meeting of January 21st, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Second.
All right, moved by member Asatrian, seconded by member Garpetian, noting the abstention of member Parazian. If there are no objections, the minutes can stand approved as submitted. So with that abstention, they'll be approved. Next is oral communication, where we do have one card. Can you please read the instructions as they pertain to oral communications?
Oral communications, discussion limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
All right, thank you very much. The speaker is Herbert Milano. Mr. Milano, you'll have 5 minutes.
Chair Kasakian, members of the Housing Authority, my name is Herbert Milano. A few weeks ago, you were considering whether to fund legal services to support tenants facing eviction. And I initially spoke arguing that about 90% of tenants who are evicted for non-payment of rent, usually as a result of conditions such as being laid off or economic conditions that impact their employment. At the end of the day, then it is the landlord who winds up paying or becoming the unemployment insurance for individuals who lose their jobs by having to basically cover their rent for the time that they are not paying rent. However, today I want to present a different perspective. It is how societal problems eventually get manifested in non-payment of rent. Think about this for a second. In Los Angeles County, about 20% of the population is considered to have some type of mental or personality problem. Primarily, they are found in the anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. Those behaviors or those conditions will eventually be prevalent on the job, and they lose their job, or they become a difficult situation for the landlord. And I'll give you an example. Imagine for a moment that you are the landlord of one of those individuals who come before this podium, right, to lambast you and talk against you and talk against the city council, and they want to spend 5 minutes here. You cannot even tolerate 5 minutes of it once a week, right? You want to cut down their time by 40% because it's so irritating. So imagine that you were the landlord and they were living in your building every day with those behaviors, with irrational behaviors that impact the other neighbors and so forth. So how many of the calls that are received by the housing department are from individuals that are undergoing anxiety problems and depression problems, right, in conflict within their families and so on? I tell you because I've experienced it, and I've had to answer calls at 2 o'clock in the morning of individuals who are pacing up and down and screaming, for example, right? Or a mother yelling to her child continually every day until then all the neighbors were up in arms. There are situations where when someone complains about a landlord about a situation, that they needs to be evaluated. And over 20 years ago, I was doing a lot of the mediation work along with the city of Glendale. And we had a lady who used to come here every single week complaining up and down about the landlord not with a problem. 4 of us went there, 2 from the city. I went there and the landlord knocked on her door, and it was about the plumbing underneath her kitchen sink. We went to the kitchen, and on top of the kitchen sink were some medicine, a whole bunch of bottles of medicine. I asked her, "Are you ill?" And she says, "No, I got bipolar disorder." So maybe this lady was coming here during one of her episodes and come here before you and basically lambasted the landlord, and the issue was that she would not let him in to basically make the repairs. But it appeared as if this were a major conflict. And the reason why I come here is because if you are going to have such a law where you are actually funding legal services for a tenant, to at least let me have an opportunity to evaluate and do an analysis of all the calls that you received, that the housing department received during the whole year, and give you my analysis of what I find. Because it's the least that we can do to really assess, really, who should you send out to legal services for the city to fund those legal services? Are you going to do it for the 90% who basically simply cannot pay the rent? Or are you going to do it for someone who's basically having a different issue and a different problem? Because you're only going to get one side of the problem being called in. And so it needs a proper analysis. And I'm here to basically ask you that before you start funding that and making our lives much more difficult, financially as well, that we take a look and see what are the legitimate problems. Because if we find a legitimate bad landlord, let's address it, right? Let's find them and see what we can do with regard to training or other requirements that we may want to expect on his behavior. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that before you assign city funds that will eventually make it more difficult for us to evict someone, that at least get a proper evaluation of that data, because I don't believe you're getting it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. There are no other speakers. Is there anyone calling in?
No, Mayor, there are, no, Chair, there are no other callers.
All right, with that, let's see if there's any authority member or staff comments. Seeing that there is none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right, we stand adjourned at 3:10 p.m. Thank you. Thank you.
Are we rolling in or waiting for the screen?
Let's change it. Thanks. Mayor, we are live.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Glendale Successor Agency meeting, call to order at 3:10 p.m. May we have a call?
Councilmember Brotman.
Here.
Garpetian.
Here.
Kasakian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
And Mayor Asadrian.
Here. May we have your report?
The agenda for the Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 special public meeting of the Successor Agency was posted on January 30th, 2025 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
And what's next?
Next would be item number 1, closed session. A conference with real property negotiators, property location, 100 West Glen Oaks Boulevard, negotiating parties, Cam Sang Company Incorporated. Agency negotiators attending the closed session are Rubik Galanian, John Taktayan, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Bradley Calvert, and Mark Berry. Instructions to the negotiators will concern the price and terms for the sale and release of a restrictive covenant in favor of the successor agency.
Okay. And do we anticipate reporting out?
We do not.
Okay. All right. We'll adjourn to closed
Recess.
session. Or, yeah, okay. Recess. And then can we just roll into the next one? Okay.
To the City of Glendale, LASC case number 24STCP-02101, claim of Najarian, number 250009. B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation pursuant to paragraph 4 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9, one potential case. C would be conference with real property negotiators, city designated negotiators, Rubik Galanian, John Taktayan, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Bradley Calvert, Onik Blanikian, and Mark Berry. Property location number 2, 1000 South Central Avenue, negotiating parties, Area Investments, LLC. Instructions to the negotiators will concern the price and terms of payment for the acquisition of property. D, conference with real property negotiators, 135, 190 West Glen Oaks Boulevard, APN 564-4013-905, 907, 914, 915, 917, 919, 921, 923, 924, 929, 930, 934, 935, and 936, and the landscape public right-of-way, approximately 18,878 square feet, located between Glen Oaks Boulevard and Verdugo Wash, between Bram Boulevard and Central Avenue, all commonly referred to as the Verdugo Wash Glen Oaks Row parcels. Negotiating parties, Camsang Company Incorporated. Agency negotiators attending closed session, Aruba Kalanian, John Tucktaya, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, Bradley Calvert, and Mark Berry. Instructions to the negotiators will concern the price and terms for the sale of city-owned property. E would be public employment performance evaluation, city manager and city attorney. F, conference with labor negotiators. The city designated negotiators attending the closed session is Mayor Ellen Asadrian. The unrepresented employee positions are the city manager and city attorney.
All right. And do we anticipate reporting out?
We do not, Madam Mayor.
All right, we'll recess to closed session. Thank you.